through whatever type of issue to it. So what we're currently doing is community development. So we are working on building permanent supportive housing for youth aging out of foster care. So as far as, and then there's a million things that happen after that, right? Other things that I'm a part of, but that is the forefront today. What I would say as far as how my friends helped me in a very important time is probably in 2021, I had a child. And that was probably one of the toughest times of my life because before then I was just a ambitious, driven person. Everything was about overachieving, working. Me and my husband had our own lives. We were able to move and do things as we wanted. And there was no attachment really, right? Like we had marriage, but we're both entrepreneurs, so we could always move. And I remember we're safe, we're in a safe place, all right? I remember being in the bathroom in my house and found out that I was pregnant, and I called Stephanie and I said, Stephanie, I'm pregnant. What am I supposed to do? Right? And she's like, you're gonna be fine. You will get through it. You will get through it. Everything will work out the way that it's supposed to. And mind you, this is post-pandemic, right? So we're still in that age of not being able to go out and be around people. Even with my doctor's appointments, my husband couldn't come to any of those. And so that was a whole lonely experience. But knowing that she had already overcome that, she helped me through that. Now going a little bit further, after I had my child, we prayed for after 8 years of marriage of having, the toughest thing was adjusting to being a mother. And people don't tell you when your life is so full of ambition and dreams and being an entrepreneur, motherhood is now a thing that you have to add, and you have to figure out what's going to be the heaviest anchor. And for me, motherhood became that anchor and everything else died in my life. All my dreams, all my hopes, everything that I had invested in, I stopped because I felt like I had to take care of this child. And I remember my friends and coming to them and saying, I'm at my lowest point. What should be the happiest place in my life? I don't know how to manage this. And it was the reminder of you have to take care of yourself. Tasha would send me, Tasha would create plans for me to make sure that I was doing self-care. I mean, literally like Canva design plans with L on the top, and just telling me like working out and all of those things because I had gained so much weight. It was a really rough time. And being in the field of mental health, it's amazing how sometimes we just neglect ourselves for the sake of our child. But it was the reminder of my friends. It was a crazy, when I felt I was in my darkest moments, having a text message or a picture or a meme from Shené, Dr. SVO, I'm sorry, getting those messages to push me, even in my lowest moment. Nothing had to be said. My friends knew where I was. They knew how to get me out of it, and they stood by me, and they gave me grace to do so. So that's where I would start. Thank you.
Wow. Hard act to follow.
Right. See too. Wow. Hey, y'all. Do y'all mind standing up and can we just stand up? Can we just stand up, put our hands up in the air? Just a stretch situation. Can we come up?
After lunch.
Yeah, she
After
needed
lunch.
that. She needed that stretch. Oh, yes. Can we turn around in our chair?
Welcome to T2
Tasha's
Fitness.
a trainer, by the way. Yes. Let's move the wrist around. Yes. Can we come up on the toes?
No, actually.
Pushed it. All right. Roll the shoulders back.
Get that out.
And let's just rock that neck side to side.
This is her introduction for who she is.
Yes. All right, we can sit down. Okay. Thank y'all. Woo. I just felt like some of us needed it, right? Sometimes to remind yourself who you are, like,
Right.
Get the little kinks out.
Right.
So my name is Tasha Turnbull. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here with you, Dr. O. I am a fitness coach, wellness expert, author. I have T2 Fitness, which is a fitness training company, and I am a stress management, sleep, and recovery health coach. And I'm also the executive director of the T2 Fitness Foundation, where we provide comprehensive wellness programs for individuals living in high under-resourced communities diagnosed with diabetes and hypertension. So I'm really passionate about assisting people in practical ways to incorporate wellness into their lives to help them live a healthier and thriving life. And being a small business owner, we were just talking about this in the car, being a small business owner for 17 years, it can be a lonely road because you are having to do all the things. And you continue to pour into others to support them. And it doesn't leave time for you to, it didn't leave time for me per se to develop friendships because I start training when, before we go to work. So I'm training in the morning and then I'm training you all when we get home, after work. So I'm usually leaving pretty late from my fitness studio. So it doesn't give me time to join organizations or attend events or networking and things. And so it can be hard to develop friendships during this time period because I'm always talking about workout stuff. And so these ladies really let me be myself in trying to find ways to expand my business and reach my goals, and just giving me space to do that. And then also it's kind of hard to develop friends because it's like you are already pouring into people. So it's like, I got to pour into friends too. And so I just didn't have a lot of time. And so I tended to choose my time wisely and develop friendships with people who really understand who they are in life and what they want to do and try to make things happen for themselves. Because you find sometimes along the journey that you connect with people and sometimes people are doing way different things from you. And that's great. But when you are you have to create the funding for yourself to pay your own bills. Like you don't get paid on the 1st and the 15th. Like you got to continue to find ways to make that happen. So it's like, oh, even though she's not a business owner, she's really about making her dreams and goals happen. And so I can identify with that. So sometimes, belonging, that plays a role in seeing who you can be friends with and who will accept you as a friend. So I appreciated that they saw something in me and I saw something in them, hey, I can be a benefit to them and they can help me along the way as well. And as another piece, as I've gotten older, I had developed back pain from doing something really stupid. You all regret that one thing in life, why in the world did I do? You understand you see what I'm saying? And so it caused me to develop this back pain and it just affected me in so many ways, physically and mentally, and every day. And we were at this event. It was all of us actually. We were at this event and the pain had become so bad. And we had to walk to the car because, we got to walk, but it's never close. The parking garage is far away. And I just remember Elle just sitting with me so I could get myself together to finish the walk. And it was just a lot, it meant a lot to me because I physically could not walk. And she didn't have to say too much. She just sat there with me for 10, 15 minutes. And then we walked together to the car. And that's why I was like, she really my friend.
Always.
And, people seeing you at your lowest and still being there to support you. Because like I said, I'm always about trying to help other people look at the glass half full. And when I was at my lowest, I just remember it was not like she's like, oh gosh, the trainer can't make it. She was just like, we're going to do this together. We're going to make it. And so that was one of those moments that sisterhood really spoke to me.
Hello. My name is Stephanie Sutton, and I am a TV host and producer. I get contracted by different networks around the country to do lifestyle segments, hosting, moderating. I'm also the Director of Engagement Communications for Yellow, which is the education nonprofit of Pharrell Williams. And I also own a company and creative studio called Dream Pusher that's located in Portsmouth. And so I'm excited to be here with my friends. It's very rare we all get together because our schedules are so crazy. So it's very nice that we can do this like this. A moment that has really shaped my life with my friends is, I guess this is a safe space, and I've never talked about this
No, you
publicly,
haven't.
is I recently just went through a divorce. And that was probably the most traumatic time in my life, especially doing this with a small child. Things have been transpiring for the last couple of years, and I never forget, I called Shené, I texted her, it was like 3:45 in the morning. I was like, are you up? You know, you just want to text somebody, see if anybody's up. And she texts back and I was like, oh my God. And she picked up the phone and I just like bawled my eyes out, started crying, telling her everything that's going on. And she just sat and listened to me. And I could not have imagined getting through that one moment without her. And then all of my friends this last season just really showing up for me. There was times I could not show up for myself. And if you know anything about working in media and working in TV, and you always have to be on. Everything is very performative. And so there's times where I'm crying before I have to go on, do a show, or I'm crying before I have to go host an event. And it is, you've witnessed this. I'm like literally in tears trying to get myself together. And then I have to go beyond. So it was so refreshing to have sisters in that season to say, I see you and I'm there for you. And also for me, for what I did and with my husband, we were very forward facing. And so also thinking through being ashamed of having to go through this. I think it's so much stigma surrounding that. And it's sad, this is literally my first time talking about it. I'm like getting emotional about it. I'm trying not to cry about it, but because it's still fresh. Sometimes you have to do what's best for your life. And I have a 6-year-old daughter and we were married for 8 years. And so it's so funny when Elle said she called me asking, what do I do? I'm like, girl, I don't know. I'm trying to raise a kid too. I don't know. Like we're all just winging it, but to have friends you can be transparent with and say, hey, I'm not in my best right now. I need you. I need to pour into you. To be able to have friends that you can say, I am not the best version of myself. Bear with me, or I need you, is like the most refreshing thing in life. And I didn't even know the power of my friends. I knew, but I didn't know the power of my friends and how well we were connected until I felt vulnerable enough to say, I'm not my best self. I have nothing left to give. My whole life is giving to other people, pouring into other people. I have nothing left to give. I need y'all. And so that has been, this last year of my life has been the most traumatic year of my life. But because of my friends, I have gotten through it. I'm literally able to like physically pull myself together to be here today.
Thank you for sharing. So this next question is based on a book that I just read last month. It's called The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. And she outlines 3 pillars of friendship in terms of proximity, timing, and energy. So I question, did you intentionally cultivate your councilwoman, whether it be this friend group or other friend groups that you may have in your current life? And if you did, what qualities did you look for in those relationships? And if you didn't intentionally cultivate them, how did your council come together?
I just almost finished that book. I love that book. If y'all have not read that book, please read that book. It's so good. But I think for me, I'm very much a people person. I feel like I have to be a people person. And I'm an only child as well. So I'm like, I love people. Like I used to talk to my stuffed animals and dolls. Like I love people. And so how these friendships even came about, me and Shené went to the same university. We went to Hampton University. We didn't know each other in college. We did not start hanging out until after college because I dated her friend and it was a whole thing. We met through that and we just became friends, but it was like a slow burn, like of a friendship, because actually I feel like I'm the I'm the lover of the friend group in terms of I want to hug, I want to do the things. And all of them are like, yeah, we don't hug, we don't do these things. Now they do. But when I first met Shené, I was like, hug. And we're like, she's like, oh, hey. But from there, I was like, okay, we can start to build a friendship. And then we all met through other mutual friends. And some of the other mutual friends are no longer around, but we just all stayed connected. So I think for me, it wasn't intentional, but it was in alignment with where I was going in my life. I knew I wanted to be surrounded by women who have positive attitudes, who are doing amazing things, or who are working towards things, who can pour into me, who I can pour into. So I wasn't out seeking a friend, but I was just oh, this makes sense and it fits within my life and it flows. I'm really a believer, when things don't flow and you got to force it, it's not meant to be. So yeah, that's my take on it.
Yeah, some similarities with that. I don't feel that it was intentional, in me seeking out these particular women, no shade. But it's but it goes back to what I see that I want for myself, and I see strengths in other people that are an attraction to me. And it could be I'm that same person, or I aspire to be that way, in terms of certain personality traits, not who they are and what they do, but it's certain traits of them that I admire immensely. So Stephanie, I appreciate her passion for life and her goals and her dreams and how she wants to cultivate that for herself, because I feel that way about myself. Elle is very spiritual and also consistent and ratchet too at the same time. And
Always.
so I love the balance that she provides to me, because I have those as well. And Dr. O over here, I don't even know what to call you. She got 10 names. It's struggle. I'm struggling. Dr. O over here, she's an observer and she has good discernment. And so she speaks when she needs to let people know what's going on. So it's what's she gonna say? And so I appreciate these attributes that they have, and I want to be around that. I want to surround myself with that. I don't have time for foolishness and shenanigans, okay? Because it's real out here in these streets. We got too much going on. Y'all had to do all this stuff to even get here, And then when you finish here, you got a lot to do. So you want your time to be spent well. You want to be around people who enjoy life and want to make stuff happen for them and using their skills for good and not trying to harm people or talking negatively. We ain't got time for gossiping all to the 89th degree. We got stuff to do. So I find that these women are doers and leaders of their households and outside of the area. And that's what made me, drew me to them.
It's up to you.
Okay. So I would say for me, I prayed for them. And I think it was because I had been in so many seasons where, because of the industry that I work in, I am used a lot, right? People will find the opportunity, they will latch on. God has given me this charismatic little thing inside of me, and people find it, they find out what they can get from it. And I'll give you if you come over here and say, girl, I like that shirt, here you go. That's me. I've always been that way. I can't turn it off.
Already have dibs on that shirt,
Right.
so.
But that's how I've always been. But sometimes when you're that person, it can cause a lot of hurt and pain, right? And I knew probably that I've known them probably all since around 2013. And I think at that time I knew, sometimes you know where your life is going. I'm a visionary, so I knew what was coming. And I knew that there was a place that some people couldn't go with me. And I knew that there were some people who would use me and it would hurt, right? So I think that I was in a place, as Tasha, I'm very spiritual, so I felt like God was like, all right, some of these people got to go. But then I said, I had to pray and say, I don't know who the people are, but can they be the right people? Can I be safe? Will they use my vulnerabilities against me? I don't want any of that. I need somebody that I don't have to be on for, that I can just be myself. We can pour into each other. We can laugh. I can be ratchet. I can also pray for you, and all of those things in one. And they came and they've been here. So that's it.
Thank you.
Come on now, Pastor.
So that actually was a great segue to my next question. So I listen to podcasts and audiobooks on my drive. Everywhere I go seems to be an hour away at least. So on the drive here, I was listening to this podcast. You might want to write this down. The podcast is called Seven by Dr. L. Harris is the host.
I was about to write it down.
And she did an episode about friendship. And like I said, I'm a little, feel some type of way about the F word, but it was a quote that she said. She said, "I don't want any friends to come to me based on what I do. Learn who I am." So there are different levels of friendship, and we may debate about this, but there are different levels. Everyone can't be your bestie. For me, there's the best friend, there's the close friends, there are casual friends, and there are acquaintances. So my question to you, how do you navigate being on public platforms, meeting new people, and determining the levels of friendship in your life?
Jesus. I think for me at this point, I no longer use best friend. And I think we were having a conversation about that one day, and Stephanie was like, "We're old. Like, why are we still saying best friend? That is something that we did in elementary, middle school, you know?" And I think that why do I need to quantify who you are in my life? You're my friend, you're my friend. And if you're not my friend, you're not my friend. And I think that's where I am now. And back to what she was saying with the podcast, it was so true because I had experienced like I didn't realize that friendship is also a divorce. Right? Because when someone's your girl and you feel like y'all gonna be at the end of the, like one of us gonna be on the other end of the casket, and when one of those friendships breaks, it breaks something in you, right? And I had one of those experiences. And after that, I was like, and they will tell you, I am they used to call me, excuse my language, everyone.
Used to call you.
No, I didn't call me. Other people used to call me a friend whore, okay? Because a lot of people, right. She just said today, you have 48. No, you got about 18 now. But it's just my natural, it's who I am, y'all. I can't help it. It's like when we together, we're gonna have fun and we're gonna feel like we've been friends forever. That's just who I am. But I have, because of that heartbreak, I don't do that anymore. I'm very guarded now. I'm very intentional about who's around me. So I don't use that word anymore. I'm not going to quantify or qualify with a word. Who we are is who we are. And we just live in that moment. And if the moment is for 10 years, if it's for 2 months, that's what it is. And that's how I'm getting through navigating and protecting myself.
Yeah. So, really, because my friends are friends. Yes, because no, I'm not really like this on panels. It's just like,
Yes, you are.
We don't get out much.
so okay. I don't label myself as having like levels of friends per se. It's if I call you a friend, like you in there. Like I just don't, because I don't have a lot of friends. I never had like 48 friends like Elle had. And so I think it goes back to also, like I said to you all prior to, just my lifestyle and what I decided to do in terms of being a small business owner, and kind of how that limited me in terms of the lifestyle space, because it was all encompassing to that. And so the thing is, if I decide to spend time with you and to pour into you like my friend, I just don't use that term regularly with people who, even if I communicate with regularly, or if they come up to me and like, "Hey, Tasha," like, "Hey," or like, you know, we could have conversations, go out to lunch and stuff, but you're somebody who I'm cool with, or I guess an acquaintance, a colleague. I just don't like to bring it down. I don't want to make it seem like you're not like a good person because you didn't make it to the friend status. But I just, if I call you a friend, that's somebody who I'm devoting time and attention to, that I could pray for you, that I pray for you, that I'm concerned about your family, your friends, your aunt. Like, you know, I'm putting good time into you. And so I don't anything else, like you just somebody cool like that I
Good night.
he said that I know out here in these streets. And then like also the best friend term, like definitely used to use it back in the day, but I just feel like it could be loaded. Like people have so much going on, and then like you didn't best friend up. You should have did this, and you should have, like, there's so many expectations that come, and it's like can be pressure. Well, I guess I'm speaking for myself, and then I'm starting to evaluate, you didn't do this, you supposed to be best friend. And so I'm like this, then I'm going all in my mind about things getting worked up, and I don't have time for that. And I also learned that, people, as we got older, we have more responsibilities, more challenges that go on. And so I don't want that pressure, and I don't want to put that pressure on people. And naturally you do gravitate to certain people, even who your friends, like you might gravitate to more people at certain time periods, or, weekly or monthly, or we were talking about in the car, how you might not see somebody or talk to them in 6 to 8 months, but when you pick up the phone, like, it's just like, y'all just pick right back up and doing it. And that's great. We don't need that pressure. What we need is support. We need community, and to not put pressure on ourselves. Well, she didn't be a good friend to me. Whenever somebody says something like that, I automatically like, when is the time I reached out to them before I start to say something bad about somebody else? Because we all going through stuff. Okay. So the main thing is, Shené, I'm trying to wrap it up. My friends are my people, like I said, my community. If you are not considered a friend, you are not a part of that. But we are cool.
That felt like a PSA.
we are still great, but I put very much a lot onto the friend piece, because those are my people, and I'm going to ride for them.
Shené gets on me a lot because I call everybody my friend, and I
This
don't mean
question
it.
was for you, actually.
Here's the thing. I don't mean it like they're my friend. Here's what I think happens. A lot of people think they're my friend. Like, that's just, I talk to a lot of people. I'm friendly. I am kind. I am nice. Like, people try to get to me through my friends, and it's a whole thing. But I used to do the whole like best friend, this and that, but it's also, I think sometimes we want to put labels on things because we're trying to justify to other people why we're hanging out with somebody. Because it's weird to say, oh, I'm hanging out with, if you just say somebody's name, they're like, okay, well, who is that? But you're not gonna be like, oh, I'm hanging out with my acquaintance, Tasha. That doesn't even sound right. Like, but
I
it's
say it all the
almost,
time, actually.
but it just doesn't sound right. So it's like, oh, I'm hanging out with my friend Tasha. Like, it sounds better, but I don't necessarily mean they're always my friend. It's just a title, because to me, when you start, like you said, this is my acquaintance, this is my colleague, this is my whoever, it like kind of deduces who they are as importance to your life. So I think now when I think about, I do friendship versus sisterhood. Like, these are my sisters. I think, and I'm an only child. So I'm like, I want some siblings. These are my siblings. But to me, I would put sisters over friends, right? I can say I have a good amount of friends. And when I talk about somebody being my sister, that's a different level of intimacy, but also a different level of expectation, to your point. But sometimes you just got to know your people. Like, you have to know your people. And I think part of it with anybody that you're in relationship with, whether it's friend or romantically, it needs to be like this level of transparency. And I think whoever you're around, if they're acquaintance or if they're your friend, if you can't be transparent around them and be your authentic self, then they don't need to have any label in your life, to be honest.
I definitely would agree with that. I do use labels unapologetically.
Shené does not call anybody friend.
Yeah.
And I say that because of, one, I'm not from Virginia, but I've lived in Virginia for 17 years now. So my friends have become family to me based on the intimacy of our relationship. And the way that I know that there are different labels in terms of people who are in my life is based on my energy and how I feel around them. So for this table right here, I'm free to be my full self and not have to put on, and we can turn it on and off for different things. But there are certain times where you can add, subtract certain people, and they can tell Shené's energy is shifting. And I'm not even doing it purposely, but I'm automatically putting a wall up to protect myself because of this is no longer a safe space for me to be fully myself. So I have to put on this armor that I have created for myself. So that's why I feel like there's different labels based on the armor and based on how I am able to show up in that space.
Yes. Got it. Yes.
So going back to tying it into the conference theme in terms of undefeated Black resilience through resistance, creativity, and cooperation, in what ways do you think sisterhood serves as an act of resistance against systemic challenges Black women face in professional and personal spaces?
That's good.
This question's deep.
Ooh, girl.
Go
Well,
ahead, Doc.
Listen, write this. I gotta write the question. Sisterhood, professional and personal. So I think that just on a Black level, I think there is this thing, this stigma, this lie, this myth that's been put out that Black women cannot get along. We can't work together. We can't be friends together. That's just a myth, right? I feel like it's just as mythical as the Willie Lynch theory, right? We can debate that, but I think that when something is a myth long enough, it becomes real, right? There's some truth to some of those things. And I think that it starts from birth. I think it starts from being an adolescent. I remember for me as a child, my mom would say, be careful about the girls you hang around, don't have a lot of women in your house. So you're already having those thoughts in your head, okay, when I get married, I can't have women in my house because they're gonna try to mess with my husband. Like all of those things. So we have pretty much just embedded this thing in our mind that we should not be together. But I am a strong and a firm believer that it is a myth, and it's really our own life experiences, our own challenges, our own traumas that are breaking us apart from being together. Because I know with these women and some other women that I've been around with, when the Black women, when the women come together, things happen. And I think that what happens is we can continue to push that method of breaking us apart, then we're not able to be community. We're not able to actually see a transition in our communities. We are the backbone of our community. And so if they can keep us apart, then our community is apart. So that's professional and personal.
Yeah, I think to add on what you were saying, the power of us pulling together, but also having conversations like this and talking about it. I think it's generational, to your point, to what your mom said. Like my mom is our parents are of a different generation. They said the similar thing. Don't be having nobody around. When you get divorced, your friends gonna start talking to your husband. Like it's all these things. I'm like, I don't know what kind of friends you have, but my friends, like they chose me, okay? Like, but when you think about it generationally, like friendship in our parents' generation meant something different than what it does now. And I feel like we're changing the narrative of what friendship and sisterhood even actually means. It's not just like we're going out to have a good time, but we're showing up for each other. We're, there on each other's couches when we're crying, because here's the thing, if we're not well personally, we're not going to do well professionally. And so being able to show up in the sad times, but also celebrating each other when we're out, like anytime either of us has an event, no matter where it is, whatever part of the country, we all try to show up for each other, because that's the power of it. Like we're all in different lanes, but all of our lives collide together. And just being there, and like, there's no jealousy, there's no animosity. It's like, yo, that's my girl, I'm going to hype it up. I'm very excited for her. But you see a lot of things on the internet where it's, people got different friends groups every season. I'm like, well, dang, how are y'all even doing this? Every girls trip is a different group of girls. Like, what is going on? But I think when you talk about the power of friendship and how we're changing things systemically, I think it's just showing up. And it always goes back to just being authentic and knowing thyself. When you know yourself, you're going to attract different people. You're going to choose different people, and you're going to choose better for yourself. I think a lot of people are in a position right now, we're all going through life, but they don't know themselves. So they're just attracting what they think they want in this season versus like trying to attract things that are going to be better for your overall life. So I think us just showing up, even having the conversation, putting this stuff like this together is helping to change the narrative of that.
I think the resilience piece comes from overcoming things that are put out there, I would say, even with social media, and women comparing themselves to one another and assessing what this person has going on and what this person, and for us to come together and always be in harmony with one another is a form of resistance, because when the comparisons start, then that's when you don't want to hang out. Like you're looking at them as the enemy. And I think it's really easy to put women up against one another during especially certain times. And so to say like, no, we're not comparing and we want the best for one another because there's room and there's pie for everyone, then I think you lead and you operate in a different way when you see your friend. And so I think the power that comes from looking at them as sisters and looking at them as like true supporters of you, like a part of your team. Like you don't question, like if you might have heard a statement or something, like that couldn't be true because this person's character, and then what's been going on for years amongst you. So it's like, I think it's a matter of respect and the fact that we're like, no, regardless of what's going on, you're you and I'm me, and there's no reason to compare. The differences to me help out us collectively. And so it's easier to get attached or to kind of infiltrate something if you want to try to put somebody against one another, or say someone was talking about like, no, that's not possible. That's not possible. And so I think the collective thinking about that there's always strength in numbers with your people, not just with everybody. Because we don't need to associate with everybody. Just you like, oh, I need to get me a crew, or I need to start. No. And so I think the importance is these finding people that you understand, like there will never be any comparisons because we want everybody to do well. So that's why we are going to show up as much as possible. Or somebody can't be there. Hey, I'm gonna support you still in this way. Or like, it's just very important. So I think the resistance is sticking together and staying in communication with one another and not letting outside forces dictate what's going on. Because you can see so many different things. It'll be on TV or social media, and like women will be like clashing and stuff. Comments will be crazy. And I'm just like, whoo, it might some of this going on with my friend, you know what I mean? Like you have to be very conscientious about what you are listening to and watching. And the more that you're like, hey, instead of taking time to look at something like maybe I need to spend time with my friends or reach out to a friend to get like, what's the real tea? Like what the real tea is like, hey girl, we good over here. So yeah.
So I'm going to ask another question, then I'm going to open it up in case anyone in the audience or on Zoom has a question. So we often talk about being there for one another in the hard times. How do you go about uplifting your sister friend when things are going well? And I know for us, like we often have to remind each other, like things are actually going well. So what are some strategies that you all do in terms of, not even strategies, what do you do to uplift your circle or circles of friends?
I think I'm very much a words of affirmation person. So I'm like the long text of pouring into somebody. But also, you're right. We do so much that it is hard to think of everything as a celebration, especially when you have other things you want to achieve in life. You're like, oh yeah, check this off next. We do have to continuously remind each other to celebrate ourselves. And so I think for me, I'm definitely like, I'm sending a long text of encouragement, randomly, a phone call or a catch up, but also just like it takes a lot to coordinate schedules. Like, so also trying to coordinate like a dinner. Like we actually coordinated a lunch after this. Like, oh my gosh, this is very exciting because
It's gonna be good, y'all. It's gonna be good.
But I think just even when there's nothing to celebrate, just being in each other's presence, because also how crazy life is right now and things happen so fast. It's like, I just want to be in your presence. We don't even have to have anything to celebrate. Just us being here, being alive and being together is something to celebrate. Obviously the big things, we want to take trips, we want to do all the fun things, but sometimes it's just not realistic. But I know specifically for me, in my line of work, I get to like kind of do some fun stuff. So anything that I get to do that's fun, whether it's like concerts or festivals or a show or whatever, I'm like, y'all come, can everybody come? Like pull up. Like, to me, that's a level of celebration, because even though I'm working, I'm like, yo, let's party, let's have a good time, because it's work for me, but I know it's something that like they would want to attend. So I think that for me, that's what I do to celebrate my friends.
I would say not necessarily a celebration, but sometimes I like to just remind people, like, you got this. Like, you got this. Because I feel like sometimes we get inside of our head about not the positives, but the negative things that are going on. And I'm always to try to remind people, like, girl, you can do this times 99. Like, there's always going to be challenges that come along the road. And so I need you to stick with this, because you've been talking a hole in my head about this for the past 42 years, okay? So we need to remember all of the other things you've overcome in the past, and this is like the next step. And so I also try to remind people to give themselves grace and then keep going. And so I don't know, I think I'm just, because sometimes, which I say with myself, I forget sometimes like who I am, because the world will take the wind out of you. And sometimes we just need those reminders from that friend, like not looking for anything, like we don't even have to talk about me. It's just like, I need you to know, like, you got this. Remember, you had this, that, and the third, and we're going to be okay. And so I think sometimes, like, we don't, like Steph said, we don't have time to vacation, but you need help from getting from Monday to Tuesday, from 4 p.m. to like 8 p.m. So I'm just like, girl, it's okay. We got this. Do you see what I'm saying? It's a positive affirmation, a positive reminder to yourself, because sometimes we forget those.
I was trying to think. I'm a I'm a recovering addict of achievements. So it's one of my, like, how you can have. I think sometimes we forget that addiction is deeper than drugs, right? It can be, for me, it's achievements. I have it honest, and so sometimes things will happen in life, and I'm just like, all right, did that, got my PhD, did that, yep. And so I think for me, being present is so important. So like Stephanie said, it may take us, the world thinks that we're together every day. And it may be 6 months since we've seen each other. Like, I'm so happy. I've been looking for her for weeks. She came to Virginia Beach, and I was like, I have a crazy life right now, but I'm going to see her face, and then I'm gonna go home and finish my crazy life. But it's the present. If I can lay eyes on you and I can just have that moment, even if it's for 15 to 10 minutes, and if you show up for me, because sometimes I know that even if I'm in a place of celebration, I'm not thinking about the celebration of me. I'm thinking about the next thing that I have to do. Yeah. But for your friends to remind you, like, oh, this is big, like, this is important. Like, that's what matters to me. And so I try to be that same person for others, because I know how important that is. So that's what I would say.
Can I add something really quick? I just wanted to say to people, there is, because both of you all mentioned too, like, something about trust, right? Mm-hmm. There is a level of honor in a relationship, in a friendship, that I feel like must be upheld. And so when you think about, you have 4 people, like, we'll just use us, for example, 4 people, but there's things that everybody goes to everybody too, that, let's say, like, everybody might not know. Me and Eldon been through the same experiences. Right. Me and Shené been through this stuff. Me and Tasha been through stuff. But it feels so refreshing to know that, like, and it's not even a secret, but it's just like, oh, I didn't tell her because it either didn't come up, or it just wasn't relevant to what's happening in life. But it's refreshing to know that whatever I might say to you or to you or to you, it doesn't go back to each other until everybody's ready to share at their own time. Because I think one time I was like, oh yeah, I already told Shené. She's like, no, she didn't tell me. So it's refreshing to know that. So keeping in mind that there's still a level of honor within friendship groups that should be upheld, because everything isn't for everybody, and it's not about secrecy. It's just like relationship in terms of life. Y'all got y'all's PhDs together. There's some stuff, sorry, I was gonna say, there's some stuff that we would never understand you've gone through. Me and Eldon had this childbirth experience. There's some stuff that and some things are just traumatic, or it's just very intimate. And so keep in mind that when you have these relationships within friend groups of people, there is a level of honor within your friend group of not sharing your other friends' information. I
Right.
think you hear that a lot about girls just telling everybody's business and this and that. Like that is so
Yeah.
important. I just had to.
No,
say that.
thank you. It actually made me think about, so when Elle was going through Dr. Harris was going through her process, Lord,
It was a process.
of achieving her PhD, anytime I was going through the Married to Merrimack, I would just drop like flowers off at her house. I didn't ring the doorbell.
And donuts.
And donuts. Yes, Krispy Kreme. So I made my 2 stops. But I would just send a picture of it to her while I was already down the street. I wasn't looking for anything for her. I just needed her to know like she was on my mind. So things like that, that's how I go about like in terms of expressing love. I would also slide in her DMs. And I did it in a way in terms of just like a quote, just I saw something and I thought of her, and she would always say like, I needed this right now. I'm in a space where someone is on my mind, and unfortunately it came from losing friends too close to me in terms of death. And if someone's on my mind, I am texting you. I need you to know that you are on my mind, because that is so important, because time, we just don't have it. So just those are ways in terms of I go about uplifting people.
Shené's the best gift giver. She is so thoughtful.
Yes, she is.
Because I don't want to just give just like, oh, like I found this, that's terrible. I found this in my closet. Like I'm just thinking about, I'm intentional. Like I thought of you. I read this card. If I see a card and there's one line that just doesn't speak to our friendship, I'll put it back. Like that's not the card for you. So I'm very intentional about everything, specifically my friendships, because like I said, this is my family here. So I do have more questions, but if anyone in the audience or in Zoom may have questions, I do want to allow for questions from the audience.
We're open books, guys.
For today.
Right.
She's coming with the mic.
Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Now I went to college, to all-girls school, and we didn't have sororities. So is there a difference in sisterhood with a sorority, or if you're,
Sorry.
any of you all a sorority sister?
Yeah, we're not sisters, but we're in the
We're
sorority.
Sisters.
Yeah, they are sisters.
Something,
Yeah.
I didn't have that experience, so I'm just want to know, can you tell me about that sorority sisterhood experience as compared to your
Yeah.
friendships?
We were just talking about this in the drive here today. So I'm a member of Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated.
I'm a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated.
But we were just talking about just the difference in friendship. When you join a sorority, right? You join for a reason, right? You're invested into the mission. Some of us, let's be honest, some of us want to stroll, but some of us are invested in the community service, right? And so with the sorority, these are not chosen friends. You may have chosen a mission or a sorority, but you are bound by people that you have no idea who they are in life, right? And you're all coming together, and so you're forced into a sisterhood. Now, sometimes when people get to know who you are, then they will try to use that as an opportunity, right? And you can feel that, and it's not the greatest of things. But also on the other end, I know for me personally, I've experienced both. I've experienced the trying to get something out of me once they know who I am, but also the connection of sisterhood. And I know that I have some of my line sisters and some of my sorority sisters who have my back through thick and thin, and have been there for me through some crazy times, right? So it's a forced situation. It's almost like an arranged marriage, right? Like you're trying to figure it out, like how do we all merge together? How do we stay together? And this one thing, this one mission has brought us together. So it's a force. With friendship outside of a sorority, that is like a natural attrition. Like sometimes your parents may say, y'all gonna play, y'all been friends since, you were 2 years old, that type of situation. But I think when you have friends that you can actually go and build naturally, it's different. Yes, with the sorority, there's things that the whole world doesn't know, if that makes sense, right? So it's like a sacred bond. I'll say that it's a sacred bond that you have, but it is forged. compared to with friends, it's like a natural attrition.
Yeah,
Is it-
I, just to briefly just put a bow on that, I agree with all that. And I think there's a misconception of what sorority life is like. It's not like stomp the yard, like it's
At
just,
all.
it's a different vibe, but also everybody's not gonna be friends, right? Like it was 29 of us online and there's a group of us that are really closer than others, right? But if anybody call with the issue, we're all pulling up. But there's a different level. Some of them you're gonna grow friendships with, and some of them it's just like, oh, I'll see you at sorority meeting, I'll see you at the chapter event. It's not what you might expect it would be in terms of having this difference in friendship. So we're all there for the same mission. We are all there to, uplift the community service component. But there's a difference. And I think none of us join to just have new friends, right? Like
Right.
you have a
Right.
sisterhood. Some of it for I know Shené and I, it's legacy in our families. It's a lot of different reasons, but I think seeking out friendship versus joining a sorority, the fact that you went to an all-girls school and I'm assuming, cultivated beautiful relationships with women, that will probably supersede a sorority life.
Yes, I agree.
I also think back to what Stephanie mentioned earlier in terms of the difference between friendship and sisterhood, because my line sisters, we have these great relationships, but I also think about this sisterhood that I have here, that whatever I have going on in life, I'm very closed off. Hi, my name is. But when life is really happening, they show up. I really think about like when my grandmother passed, I'm just like, hey, just sending a text, just letting you know. Talk to you later. I'll send you the details later. Steph was at my house the next morning, and then they must have coordinated because it was like a tag team. As soon as she walked out the door, Tasha was walking in, and we just watched like Ratchet TV just to like get my mind off of it. But it was just like they needed to see me. They needed to touch my skin to make sure that I was okay. Just knowing that relationship. I remember I was going to an award ceremony for Elle, and she looked at me. She was being honored, and she looked me in my eye, and she's like, something's not right. And I was like, oh, I'm leaving in the morning. My father's having surgery. And shifted completely. She needed to know what kind of surgery he was having, what was going on, how long I was going to be there. It's just that connection. So it doesn't mean that you have to join a sorority or be a part of this group in order to have a sisterhood. It's about the relationship that you have in order to build and to be committed to that sisterhood. So that's my 2 cents.
Said just now about the connectedness. I know a friend of mine, I was in a grocery some store purchasing something, and the salesperson plucked my glass.
I like her.
Whatever, and I did it in such a way that I'm certain that the person had no idea she plucked my last nerve. My girlfriend came up on the end of the conversation, and as we were walking out, she said, "What did she?" It's like she knew me. She knew me. We finished each other's sentences, and I mean, a lot of what you all said resonate with me. I tend to be the lonely person. I tend to have a lot of friends, know a lot of people, but yeah. My question, however, is being mothers, how old are your daughters? And what are, you mentioned that some of the things that you were told about trusting women, and what do you do to them when it comes to friendship and
Right.
da da da?
Right. I don't teach what my mom taught me. I also realized that my mom learned her trauma came from a broken place, right? And so I'm not raising my child from a broken place. And instead, my child has friends. She goes on dates. Like I'm intentional about letting her be around other people. And I speak positively into her. I affirm her every day. We say affirmations so that when you go to school, go hang out with this friend. Like you're able to say that, but you're also a leader. You're also an individual, right? So, and we're always kind to everyone, right? And my daughter she's a light. So when people see her, they love her. Like she's amazing. She's just a bubbly little girl who loves everyone. Her mom is super introvert. She is not. her dad is introvert. She is not. She's the child everybody knows, like, you know, that's who she is. So I think that's what helps me. A lot of the things that I've learned, it is hard. Like we were talking about this earlier, that just like Stephanie's super lovey-dovey. I'm getting there, but I wasn't, right? So, but I make sure I kiss my daughter every day. I give her a hug every day. All the things that make me feel squirmy, I do, because I don't want her to not receive that, because it wasn't something that I received. So I think that's the biggest part is being intentional about that. It was another part of your question that you said that I forgot.
That's
Okay.
up there.
Oh, yes.
Stuff like that, they're trusting their,
And my daughter's only 3, so I was a geriatric mother. Yeah, that's what they call it.
I know,
Pregnancy,
anybody
girl.
under
It's
30.
geriatric pregnancy. That's what we were. Knees bad. I can't run after her. She just we go places. I'm like, girl, you got it. I'm not gonna run after that baby. Oh, I'm sorry. Y'all geriatric moms too. I didn't know why y'all was raising your hand.
They have a question. I was just gonna
Okay.
say, oh, go ahead. My daughter's 6.
Yeah.
She does play dates, but like my parents let me do that stuff too. And being an only child, I'm like really want her to engage, and she's the same. She's so bubbly, she's outgoing. I don't know where she gets that from, but I want her to like just enjoy life, but also teach her the power of friendship. So she has a best friend that she does, play dates with, and it's very interesting. Because everybody's family dynamic is so different, but also just teaching her about different people's lifestyles. Our daughters actually go to the same private school, and the demographic of the school is there's not that many of them that look like them. And so also making sure that like, hey, we have play dates with everybody. It's not just, don't just stick to the, other little Black girls. Like we're having play dates with all the families and everything. So just teaching her sisterhood doesn't also just look like a color. Like it is really like about people's heart and their character.
Right.
We have an online question for Shené.
Oh, okay.
With being a gift giver, how do you feel if they don't return gifts in the same way? I would assume your love language is gifts.
Yes, I actually don't receive gifts well. It's one of those things like your love language doesn't mean that's the way that you receive love too. So for me, it's quality time, and being intentional to like remembering something about me is more important than something physical, because then I have to find somewhere to put it in my house. I'm not saying don't get me anything, but like Tasha, she'll like, hey, this is a spa treatment, because she knows that's something I'm very intentional about in terms of going to the spa once a month. So for me, I don't see it as draining. It's literally my love language and how I'm able to express myself. So as Steph has the words, I'm showing up with something that's intentional.
I wanted to piggyback on, my daughter's 30 now, but I had her at 33. So yes, geriatric
Understand.
mother.
Thank you.
But I liked what you said about basically breaking generational curses. So I'm 62. My parents were born in 1920 something. They were older too. And I'm adopted, which is a whole nother layer. But they did not grow up with the hugging and the loving. They're coming through the depression. They're stocking up because heaven forbid we have 3 cans of peas in the house. And so I remember sitting on the couch with my daughter around 3. Seems to be a magical age where they change mentally. And I connected with her I missed something at this age, but telling myself to stay in the moment, stay on the couch, let her hug you, because I remember my mother physically tensing. And it's like, I do not want to do that. So it is a very conscious thing to do. And my love language is gift giving. None of my friends' love language is that. And now they'll do it, but that's not really their love. They know because I like it. So, but yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. And I think that's a big thing. What I've learned is because, like I said, the things that I didn't get, the beauty is, I think sometimes we can take our children and try to give them what we didn't have. But what I've learned to do as a mental health professional is to let the little girl within me play with my daughter. Instead of making her who I want her or giving her what I needed, I keep that for me and I play with her. I have child play. That little girl in me heals through watching her bloom and we grow together.
I also think about the generational thing in terms of, you mentioned like my grandmother, in terms of where she grew up, and she reminded us about the Depression very often, especially at the dinner table. And I remember saying to my mother that she never said, I love you. She started when she had grandchildren, and I was like, oh, you love them? What about us? And it never registered for her. Like, she didn't think of it as a thing. So when I brought it to her attention, that made her realize that her mother never said it. And that made me think that because of my grandmother, she showed it, we are around her so much, it never registered to me that she never said it. But I remember it might not have been the first time, but I remember as we go back to sorority and me being legacy, I remember she pinned me and she said, I love you. When I say my whole line, we was crying because it was just like, what did you just say? Because on the phone, when I say I love you, she was like, okay, bye. So it's just like breaking that generational curse. Now my mother, you can't hang up the phone without her saying it. And it was a little weird at first. We're like, I love you too. But it wasn't a natural thing because we went, 25 years without her saying it. And then all of a sudden she wouldn't hang up the phone without saying it. So we're like, this is a joke, right? So it's just kind of breaking that curse in terms of the generation.
Okay, I want to jump in here. I want to ask out of ignorance, what do you mean when you say geriatric baby?
Not baby
When
mama.
you say geriatric mother, because I don't want to be
Okay.
misinformed, because I want to understand. And I'll tell you, my mother had me at 40, had my sister at 44. She raised 10 kids.
Yeah.
I have a sister who turned 91 March 4th of this year.
Wow.
For 65 years of my life, there was never an I love you. I can't remember a hug. I come from a family of 10. People are still growing and evolving, and a lot of times they're moving beyond that hurt, and it takes just that long to get past that pain or to open yourself up to receiving. My mother was not a person who always said, I love you, I love you. She fed me, she clothed me, she made sure I had health care. She worked until she was tired, and her health shortened her life from doing that. That's another form of I love you. So you always got to know where people come from, what place they're starting out of. You have the luxury of being able to sit there and think like that. They didn't. So for my ignorance, explain to me what you mean.
Yes. So 35, when you go to the doctor, if you're 35 and up, they categorize you as geriatric. When you get your paperwork, it says geriatric pregnancy at the top. So, but this is what I think about that. Like, it's funny a little bit, but it's also, I think that we have moved into a space where women have children later in life, right? Because they want to accomplish things. Like, we are not the generation before us. They had children at different time frames for different reasons. But for me, to be honest, I never wanted children. And I said, if I did have a child, I would only want one. And then God is funny because I said, I don't want a child until after I have my Ph.D. and I got pregnant 3 weeks later. Right. So you have to be careful about the things that you say and you affirm. And that's what happened. So yes, my pregnancy was categorized as geriatric because I was 37 when I got pregnant. So, but that's okay. We're going to grow old together and she's going to push me and all of those good things. Yeah.
And she told me, keep living. You think you're in charge. Keep laying down and getting up. I had my last baby at 43.
Wow, amazing.
And so now I understand some things that I didn't understand
Yeah.
then.
I think I'm done at 37.
I think to your point about, your sister and her being older and people showing you how they love you, I think we are now having, like, me and my mom are having conversations that before we would have the conversation, she's like, you're being disrespectful. I was like, no, Mom, I'm telling you how I feel. I'm telling you how I think about our relationship. And she looks at it as disrespect because she's unable to have that conversation with her mom. My grandma just turned 90 and she's like still in good health. And so we've got 4 generations now. So my grandma is watching my, daughter, that's her great granddaughter. So the things that I would bring to my mom about how I felt about certain things, maybe growing up or life or whatever it is, I'm really bringing it up for awareness and to have conversation. And her resistance is, well, you're being disrespectful. You shouldn't say that to your mom. I'm like, Mom, we're not even yelling. Like, we're just having a conversation. But I think when you think about generationally, we are having the uncomfortable conversations in friendships and in relationships. And when you try to have these uncomfortable conversations with your parents in a different generation, it seemed as disrespect, because before you're never allowed to question anything that happened. And so when I think about a form of, showing love, like, yes, I'm so appreciative that you clothed me and you bathed me, you provided for me, and I grew up in a very nice lifestyle, and I'm so grateful. But sometimes it doesn't take over for like, you weren't affectionate with me. You didn't, say I love you enough. And it's not to blame your parents. It's just like letting you know, like, hey, I'm just bringing this to your attention. So now I'm doing that with my daughter. We were having a conversation in the car. I'm like probably overly affectionate to my daughter because I just want to squeeze her and hug her and love her, like while she still wants to hug me. But having those conversations with my mom, she's like, well, you don't understand. I'm like, Mom, but I'm just bringing it to your attention because I want you to have this awareness. And she's like, well, my mom didn't do that. I said, why don't you have the conversation with her? She's like, well, she's old now. Like, it doesn't matter. I'm like, but she's still living. Like, because my thing is, you don't want to go and be holding on to a conversation that you got to have, whether they're 90 or 100, to just release that and have that. So I think there's still some healing that needs to be done in like our parents' generation and in my grandmother's generation about even having authentic conversations, because everybody's just so closed off.
I'm blessed now. I think I had that situation years ago with my mom, and I used to be so scared because my mom never had to hit me as a child. She just had to say my name and I broke, right? Like my mom she's that tough. And you were talking about being adopted. My mom was in foster care. She has 10 siblings. They went to foster care, they came back. So it's a lot of different things. And I'm able to say that because we talk about her story a lot. But because of what my mom experienced, and again, me being in mental health and me working in foster care and all of those things, I know why she became that person. I used to question, why aren't you this way as a mom? Why aren't you this way as a friend? Then I got pregnant and I understood, right? And it gave me a different perspective. And I had to go back and say, I don't understand. I don't know how you did this. I don't. You had 3 kids. I have 1. I don't know how, right? And a lot of the things that I judged you on, I want to take that back. However, if there are things that I feel like were missing from my life, I let her know that too. Because at this point, we have to stop being in that space of, we can't say this, or this was the best that I can do. Because yes, that could have been your best, but it still wasn't enough for me. And it's okay to say that. And you can be respectful in saying that. And I think that's how we grow as women, as a community, because we have to have those tough, hard conversations. It doesn't mean that we don't love you and we don't appreciate what you did, but we're going to be a little bit better the next time it comes around. So I think it's like you said, we have to have those conversations, and we cannot look at it as it's disrespectful. My stepdad always says, we're no longer your parents unless you need us to parent. Outside of that, we're your peers. You're a grown up now, right? And parents have to be open to understanding you're my peer now. I don't need you to parent unless I'm like, mommy, I need a mama right now. But we have to get into that space so we can have these open conversations.
Yeah, and I think just to circle it back to the friendship component, I think watching your friends with your children is probably one of the greatest joys. I am so grateful to have these 3 like in my daughter's life, especially for what I was going through over the last year. My daughter loves my friends, like Auntie Tasha, we're gonna go pizza with Auntie Tasha, Auntie Shené, Auntie Elle. To have your friends be able to hold you up when you can't even be there for yourself, to step in place for your children is, the most profound thing you can ever experience. So especially for your friends who do not have children yet, it's like such a joy to witness your friends in parent mode with your child and know that they can fill in that gap when you have nothing left to give. So I'm really, really grateful for that in terms of parenting with friends.
Yeah.
Okay. Final question.
Thank you. I had a question. I have 3 sisters and we are big age gaps. So I have one that's 12 years younger than me and then one that's 5 years older than me. And so being kind of like a middle, I've created my own sisterhood in my friends. But as we've gotten older and now those age gaps don't seem as large because we're all kind of doing the same kind of things. Sometimes there's tension between my chosen friends, sisters, and then my natural sisters. Have y'all ever experienced that, and how have you navigated it?
I've experienced it with my brother. So it's just the two of us. And he has said to me that he felt that, maybe I show up for my friends' kids more than his kids, which they can tell you I'm down, up and down 95 for anything with my nieces. But at the end of the day, I'm Auntie May. So whether it's blood or not, I'm showing up. But there had been tension. He's good with y'all now, but there was tension in terms of he wanted that closeness in terms of like brother, sister, best friends, not because we look at friendship differently. So he didn't understand that I needed these sister friends, and I cultivated these relationships during a time where family was away. I'm going through life, and your family doesn't always know all the life things that you're going through that you may be willing to share with your friends.
I'll speak. I have a sister. She's 6 years younger than me. But I think Shené and Stephanie, I think y'all about 6 years younger than me too. Yeah. And when we grew up together, we didn't really like each other, back in the day, I was like, you stepping on my toes, I can't get as much stuff. And now as I've gotten older, like you said, we're kind of like, going through the same things, challenges and stuff in life. And so we've gotten much closer. And there's never been like resistance or, looking at them as like, who are they? But it definitely, it was like, I feel like she probably thought like my friends, like, oh, y'all like the crew or like the group. Like, and so it did seem like, not like I positioned her on the outside, but it wasn't like she's a part of the group. And I think the group is like a strong unit, which I think like people perceive us like that as well. And I think that it looked like a difference, like we are different from her. And I try to make her not see that in different ways. And I also know that we have two different personalities. So I don't expect her to change at all. And I always try to meet her where she is. I'm always trying to get people to do the best in life. Because I mean, why not? We should all just thrive while we're here. And so it's like, I kind of want her not to be a part of the group, but like to elevate and things of that nature, like our group is doing. And so it's like trying to bring her into the fold of how we operate, not necessarily be a part of the group, but just to let her know like the group is here for you. Like we want all the best. And so we don't hang out as a collective unless I'm doing something. But I don't put that pressure on her or myself. I just try to affirm her as much as possible that I am your sister, and she gets that. Like I feel like prior to it was more so like it's them, and then it's like me and her, and then it's them. But now she's like, oh, like that's the group. You know what I mean? And so I'm thinking like it's important to make sure that your relationship into the two of you all, or the two separate sisters, that you all have a good relationship outside of not just your friends, but I'm talking about you, the 12-year gap one and the 5-year one, like not all of y'all together, but like individually. So you need to identify what's going on with that. I think if that's stronger, if you all decide to work, because it takes two people to work on something. So if you all are working to improve that, then I think the getting the whole group together per se is better. Now, is the friends acting funny? Okay. Just making sure. So we don't have not no time for no problems with the sisters, So, but that's what I would just say about that.
All right, so we are over time, but I want to thank Stephanie. I want to thank Tasha, and I want to thank Dr. Harris for your time being here, and thank you all for coming to this session.
Give me some more questions. Thank you.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Right.
I was gonna ask